Conflict motivates Westbrook, and he'll seek out confrontations in otherwise calm, benign, even fun situations. Like when he shoved John Wall at the 2017 All-Star game for no reason.
That was a joke.
Or when he goaltended a mascot's half-court shot.
That was a joke,
Denver
bro.
fans were going to get free Qdoba if that went in. Now, perhaps if the Thunder had known that Reggie Jackson shared...
What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Mike from NYC, and we back with another reaction, you feel me? Today's video was sent to me by Jordan, so good looking out, bro. Appreciate that. Russell Westbrook and Reggie Jackson beef because there could only be one starting point guard. I mean, it sounds like it makes sense, you feel me? You know, Westbrook is a nigga, you already know, competitive as fuck, and Reggie don't seem like a nigga to just back down, like, you know, he seems the type of nigga to, like, buck back, you know what I'm saying? Not super extroverted with it, but, like, still, you feel me? So let's get into it.
Teammates on the Oklahoma City Thunder, Russell Westbrook and his backup, Reggie Jackson, were similar in many ways. Speedy, athletic, aggressive, really confident, enjoyed being in control and having the ball in their hands all the time. Uh-oh. Russell Westbrook is one of the best point guards in the league. He plays with a stormy intensity that leads to wins, triple-doubles, as well as various cuts of beef. He's been known to get chippy going head-to-head with a worthy rival, but teammates have said he's that fiery no matter who he's guarding, and that he looks at opposing point guards like he wants to kill everyone. Conflict motivates Westbrook, and he'll seek out confrontations in otherwise calm, benign, even fun situations. Like when he shoved John Wall at the 2017 All-Star game for no reason.
That was a joke.
Or when he goaltended a mascot's half-court shot.
That was a joke, bro.
Denver fans were going to get free Qdoba if that went in. Now, perhaps if the Thunder had known that Reggie Jackson shared Russ's red-hot competitiveness, they wouldn't have drafted him back in 2011. But how could they have known? Jackson was an unsung recruit out of Boston College, and OKC picked him up 24th overall. His play looked a bit like Westbrook's, but that part sounds good, actually. There was little indication that OKC was ordering up a big plate of beef. In fact, early on, Jackson and the Thunder had a solid relationship. As a rookie, he didn't get playing time in their 2012 finals run, but in 2013, he was the second-string point guard. And when Patrick Beverley tore Westbrook's meniscus early in the postseason, Jackson became a starter and rose to the challenge. Sure, he couldn't take them back to the finals, but he stepped into a leadership role and captured some coveted hearts and minds.
That's valid.
In the 2014 season, Jackson developed into an outstanding sixth man, filling the role James Harden had once occupied for the Thunder. Coach Scott Brooks would use Jackson to generate offense when Kevin Durant and Westbrook both sat for a breather. Then he'd close games with all three on the court, Reggie in at shooting guard. He was undersized for a 2, and it wasn't his natural position, but it worked out.
He could score, though.
The fans loved the little backup who could. There was even fear he might outgrow that six-man role and salary and want to move on.
Which he did.
After all, that's how they lost James Harden.
Which he did.
Jackson deepened those fears when he indicated he wanted to be a regular starter, which was not going to happen in Oklahoma. They already had a starting point guard. Reggie didn't say he thought he should start over Russ, but he did kind of say Russ was in the way of what he wanted. Westbrook didn't comment, but there's a chance he took Jackson's words personally because, 1, he's prone to taking things personally, and 2, while the organization and fans loved Reggie, behind the scenes, Westbrook and Jackson had a less than friendly relationship. Russ didn't exactly take the sub under his wing. Rather, he played so intensely against Jackson at practices, it was as if he was ramming the ball down Jackson's throat. But the extreme competitiveness wasn't just one-sided. Consider this anecdote. Once, after a late game, a reporter from the Oklahoman was sitting in the Thunder locker room to type up his story. Westbrook told him to get out of the chair because chairs were for players, and because Westbrook likes to stir the pot. The reporter got up, but then Reggie Jackson wheeled him over another chair. The reporter said Reggie did it not to be nice to him, but to directly undermine Westbrook.
That time in the locker room, Reggie clearly had something against Russell.
Reggie likes to stir the pot, too. Okay, let's jump to the first round of the 2014 playoffs. The Thunder found themselves down 2-1 against the Grizzlies. In Game 4, the Stars didn't play well. But Reggie Jackson came up big to save the Thunder season while showing he had the potential to be a real star in this league. On the floor after the game, Westbrook and Durant were all celebrations and hugs, but the post-game press conference was a little different. OKC didn't send Jackson to the podium to talk about his game-high 32-point performance.
That's wild.
According to an Oklahoman reporter on the scene, it was very clear why Jackson wasn't at the podium.
Kevin and Russell didn't seem to want to let him shine after the game that night.
In the conference finals, the Thunder went down 0-2 to the Spurs. Needing an offensive punch, Brooks started Jackson at the 2, not in place of Westbrook. And it worked. I mean, well, hold on, it worked a little. Reggie played well and they won a couple games, but the Thunder still lost the series in the end. In Jackson's exit interview for the season, he again said he wanted to be a starter. And while you could react to this sentiment by saying, "That's nice, what a self-assured, candid young man," I don't think that's how the Thunder reacted.
Start at the 2. Start him at the 2.
Reggie talking about his own ambitions above the team as a whole did not gel with OKC's philosophy. Brooks' exit interview was all about the importance of sacrifice and committing to your teammates, as was Kendrick Perkins and Serge Ibaka's. Just a few days after the playoffs, Brooks expressed doubt Reggie would be a regular starter. And guess who agreed with him? Russell Westbrook also told the press he wasn't so sure Reggie should start alongside him at shooting guard. Alright, you can think that about your teammate, but you don't say it publicly. Unless maybe you're trying to be a little mean. The summer saw Jackson and OKC fail to sign an extension to his rookie contract, so Reggie was headed to free agency after one more season with the Thunder, which was a little tricky. Was Reggie going to spend the 2015 season humbly doing what was best for the Thunder? Or was he going to showcase himself, hoping to earn max cash on his next contract? That question was answered immediately. On media day, Reggie restated that he wanted to start, explaining why with a confidence that bordered on hubris and gave a big old middle finger to the Thunder's self-sacrificing ethos.
Wow.
When the season started, Jackson missed the first 2 games with a sprained ankle, but was cleared to play for the third. And he would have started because Westbrook was out hurt. That's just what he wanted, right? Apparently not, because Jackson didn't play. At the shoot-around the morning of the game, he told reporters he wouldn't play because of his injury. Then, in front of everyone, he turned around and dropped a huge windmill dunk that I'm assuming required a fairly sturdy ankle. Seemed Reggie was annoyed he hadn't been traded somewhere he could be a regular starting point guard, so he was sending OKC a message. Something along the lines of, "I hate you." Oh, and he also gave the press a quote telling everyone who hadn't figured it out yet he had a foot out the door. He did play in the following game. Westbrook was still hurt, so Jackson started, but the increased role wasn't great for Reggie. He took a lot of shots, didn't run the offense, and pissed off his teammates. Both Ibaka and Perkins looked him off for the outlet pass at least once, and Perkins even bumped Jackson out of the way on one possession. After the game, which was a Nets rout, Brooks basically called Reggie selfish. Jackson ended up starting 13 games while Westbrook was hurt. He put up good numbers everywhere except the win column. During this period, he wrote SPG for starting point guard on his shoes, which I cannot imagine Russell Westbrook liked one bit. Westbrook returned at the end of November, and Jackson was back to the bench, but he wasn't always the go-to 6th man anymore. Sometimes he was the 10th man. Seems Brooks had had enough of Reggie Jackson. At the start of January, the Thunder picked up shooting guard Dion Waiters, which meant bad news for Reggie Jackson. Jackson's playing time took a bigger hit as Waiters saw 6th man in crunch time minutes. Meanwhile, the Thunder were having a frustrating year. They were supposed to be 2015 title contenders, but instead injuries kept messing them up and they couldn't find their rhythm. And you know what wasn't helping? Chemistry problems in the locker room. Factions had formed. It was basically Reggie and the backup guards who also lost playing time to Waiters versus the stars and the guys the stars liked. It got petty and even territorial. Westbrook and Durant had Waiters' locker moved away from Jackson and closer to them. At the trade deadline, OKC got rid of Jackson in a 3-team deal. Westbrook wished him the best in Detroit. No, he certainly did not. He implied Reggie was simply nothing to the Thunder. For Jackson's part, he was pretty pleased to get out of Oklahoma.
God is
This
great.
wasn't an exaggeration. In an interview, he did cry, saying he had been a scapegoat for the Thunder's crappy season.
Ooh.
It wasn't until the fall of the following season that Jackson and Westbrook met again. The Thunder fans booed Jackson relentlessly, but that's as spicy as it got during the game. After the game, Westbrook reiterated that Jackson didn't matter by pretending he didn't know who Jackson was.
Anticipation about Reggie's return to OKC. How do you think they'll handle him today?
Who?
Reggie Jackson.
Oh, what happened?
That's a deep burn. They were teammates for 3.5
Petty.
years. Russ eventually admitted he knew of Reggie Jackson, but said he didn't care about him. At the end of the regular season, Detroit and OKC met again in a game that mattered to the Pistons, who were clinging to the 8th seed, but didn't matter to the Thunder. They already had the 3 seed locked. They sat Durant and Ibaka. Russ didn't sit, and teammate Nazi Muhammad claimed it was because Westbrook wanted to play against Jackson. But that was just Muhammad's opinion based on Russ's never-back-down spirit and hatred of Jackson. It's not confirmed, and Westbrook certainly didn't say anything about wanting to play Reggie. Not really his style to give Reggie the satisfaction. The game was close, and in the final minutes, believe it or not, Reggie outplayed Russ. He had an authoritative dunk to go up 5 in the last minute and a half.
Did they lose?
Russ had a fumbling turnover. He did hit a 3 to cut the lead to 2, but then Jackson hit some clutch free throws to seal the game. I'm guessing outperforming the guy who publicly said you shouldn't start alongside him, didn't let you have the podium when you saved the season, and then pretended to forget who you were felt pretty good. I'm also inferring that it felt good because Jackson celebrated before the game was over kind of a lot. It bothered Westbrook, as you can see in this photo. It's like Westbrook saying,
Whose
look
man
at
is
this
it?
asshole celebrating a game we didn't even care about. But I don't think you do this if you truly don't care.
Oh, he
After the
mad.
game, Russ sat in the locker room seething and didn't talk to reporters for an hour.
Seething.
When he finally did, he dropped the whole I don't remember Reggie Jackson act and spoke more pointedly, calling Jackson's celebration some real bullshit. And he did then reinforce his previous statements that Jackson was a non-entity when he was on the Thunder. In response to Westbrook's criticism, Jackson downplayed any controversy, but I don't really buy that. Especially because a couple months later, when the Thunder blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, Jackson tweeted a sassy little emoji. But then things actually did cool down. Westbrook had bigger beefs to fry in the fallout of the 2016 season. Due to injuries, Westbrook and Jackson didn't play each other at all in the 2017 season. When they finally faced off again, Jackson seemed more eager to talk about Thanksgiving than his old team. And Westbrook claimed he didn't remember Reggie's, quote, bullshit celebration. Maybe he really didn't remember, it'd been a year and a half, or maybe Westbrook was hitting his theme of, I don't remember that insignificant player. Either way, there were no sparks during the game and no pot-stirring quotes after the game. In the 2019 season, Russ gave Jackson the Rockabye Baby celebration after beating him on the baseline, but he's done that to lots of people.
Exactly.
And this one was pretty quick, so it's hard to say there was any extra vitriol to it. The conflict between Russell Westbrook and Reggie Jackson stemmed from the classic friction between a starter and his backup. Only it escalated quickly because both players have a unique variety of aggressive confidence. It didn't help that OKC's title chances got thwarted and everyone was ornery. When Reggie finally left OKC, Russ let shade fly, but it wasn't going to go on forever. Time passed, both guys got a few teams removed from Oklahoma City, and when you move to a new place, you usually clean out the old fridge and throw
Facts.
away any beef you
Old
may
furniture,
find in the
giving
back.
it all of that old shit. Wow.
Thanks for watching, folks. Here are a couple other videos you might enjoy, and feel free to
Yeah, I definitely gonna check out this channel. I'm definitely gonna subscribe and all of that. But yeah, man, that was a definitely interesting video, man. I didn't know all of that was going on in 2015. To keep it a buck with you, I really didn't know, about all of that stuff. So definitely cool to hear about it. You know what I mean? I was interested the entire video. Oh, here's what I was gonna say. Wouldn't it be crazy if Reggie Jackson got a ring before Westbrook as a starting PG, as a starting point guard? Like low key, like the best point guard on Clippers, no question. Like Patrick Beverly, not even a question. Rondo, nigga hasn't played all series, and who's their other point guard? That's it. It's just Reggie Jackson, for real, for real. So yeah, that would be real interesting to see that Reggie Jackson get a ring before Westbrook. Even though he'd be the third best player, not the second, still, I think it's still pretty telling that he would get a ring before Westbrook. But yeah, man, definitely interesting video, man. For sure. Definitely let me know what else you guys want me to react to, and I will definitely get on that. You feel me? Definitely like, comment, share if you like this video, and I see you when I see it. Peace, and I see you when I see it. Peace, and I see you when I see you. I'm a beast, and I see you when I see you. She with the cheeks. Yeah. Na 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 na.